Picture tonight for a second. You're sitting in front of a small fire. Maybe it's a campfire in the woods or just a single candle on your dinner table. Nobody's saying much, but you feel calm, strangely calm. Your breathing slows down, the tension in your shoulders starts to melt, your eyes lock onto the flame, dancing back and forth. You probably think this is just a feeling, just some mood you've built up in your head. But the truth is stranger than that. What's happening inside you right now isn't just a feeling, it's biology. A reaction written into your brain hundreds of thousands of years ago. An anthropologist named Christopher Lynn at the University of Alabama once ran a simple experiment. He had volunteers sit and watch a fire, then measured their blood pressure. The result? Blood pressure dropped by an average of 3% in under 20 minutes. The bigger the flame, the louder the crackle of the wood, the deeper their bodies relaxed. This is not a coincidence. Because humans didn't just discover fire, we evolved alongside it. Go back almost 2 million years. Your ancestors weren't even Homo sapiens yet. They were Homo erectus, walking upright with a brain barely half the size of yours. And then, one day, they learned to control fire. We're not talking about a campfire with marshmallows. We're talking about the single hardest technical problem our ancestors had ever solved. Archaeologists have found burned bone fragments and ash deposits in Wonderwork Cave in South Africa, dated to roughly 1 million years ago. Signs that something was deliberately keeping a fire alive, night after night, inside a cave. Think about what that actually required. Someone had to understand that fire needed fuel, that it needed to be fed, tended, protected from rain, carried from one camp to the next. That's not instinct, that's planning. That's the earliest form of teamwork we have any evidence for. A primatologist named Richard Wrangham at Harvard University proposed a theory that reshaped the entire field of anthropology. He said fire didn't just give us warmth, fire gave us cooking, and cooking was the turning point that let the human brain grow so dramatically. Cooked food is easier to digest. It delivers more energy. The body no longer had to burn enormous amounts of fuel just breaking down raw food. That extra energy got rerouted straight to the brain. In other words, the brain you're using to process this sentence right now exists at this size because of a small fire over 1 million years ago. But the story doesn't end there, because fire didn't just change our bodies, it changed the entire rhythm of how our species lived. Before fire, nighttime was the most dangerous stretch of the day. Predators could see in the dark far better than any human. Every single night was a fight for survival. But once there was fire, night became safe enough, for the first time, to just sit still. There's an interesting twist here though. A sleep researcher named Jerome Siegel studied 3 modern hunter-gatherer groups, including the Hadza in Tanzania, groups that still sleep around open fires most nights. He expected firelight to disrupt their sleep, the same way a bright screen disrupts yours. It didn't. Their sleep patterns were remarkably steady. What actually synced their bodies to night and day wasn't the flame at all. It was temperature. The drop in temperature after sunset was the real signal telling their brains it was time to rest. The fire wasn't fighting that signal. It was just gentle enough to sit alongside it. Warm light, without the wide-awake alertness a screen forces onto you. And this is where it gets remarkable. An anthropologist named Polly Wiesner studied the Juhawansi people of the Kalahari Desert, one of the closest living approximations to how our Stone Age ancestors actually lived. She found that during the day, most of their conversations were about complaints, economic problems, conflicts inside the group. But once the sun went down and the fire was lit, the conversations shifted completely. Over 80% of what people talked about around the fire became stories, myths, jokes, memories of people who had passed away. Fire didn't just provide light. Fire flipped the brain of an entire group from survival mode into connection mode. So think about it for a second. When was the last time you sat quietly with another person, with no screen sitting between you? Here's the part that flips everything on its head. We used to assume humans got smarter because of tools, because of language, because of group hunting. But a growing body of evidence points somewhere far more ordinary. Sitting still around a fire may have been humanity's very first classroom, because low, flickering light forces you to stop doing things. No hunting, no foraging, no work. A brain freed from survival tasks suddenly has room for something else. Telling stories, teaching children, passing knowledge from one generation to the next. Put simply, human culture may not have started in a cave or out on some hunting plane. It may have started right there, in the small circle of light around a fire. Think about what a fire circle actually does to a group of people. It pulls everyone into the same tiny radius of light. Faces visible, voices audible. No one drifting off to work on something else in the dark. For a few hours each night, an entire tribe was physically forced to pay attention to the same thing at the same time. That's not a small detail. That's the exact condition a species needs if it's going to pass down a myth, a warning, a piece of hard-won knowledge, accurately generation after generation. Long before writing. Long before language was even fully formed the way we know it now. And that might explain why your brain today still responds to firelight in exactly the same way, even though you'll probably never have to guard a fire against predators again in your life. Some neuroscientists call this reaction a relaxation response, the same state your body enters during meditation. Brain waves slow down, heart rate drops. The sympathetic nervous system, the one that keeps you braced to fight or flee, gradually powers down. A flame flickers unpredictably but never chaotically. It's a pattern your brain has been trained over hundreds of thousands of years to read as safe. Researchers call this soft fascination, attention that costs you nothing to give. Your brain can stare without straining, completely different from staring at your phone, which pulls your focus tight and never really lets go. That's why you can watch a fireplace video on YouTube for an hour and feel nothing but calm, while 10 minutes of scrolling social media leaves you drained. A screen is built to grab you and hold on. Notifications, autoplay, an endless feed with no natural stopping point. Your nervous system treats it almost like a low-grade threat that never fully goes away. A flame asks nothing of you. It has no agenda. It's not trying to keep you scrolling. It just burns at its own pace whether you're watching or not. Maybe that's exactly why it feels like rest and a phone never quite does. Now look around you for a moment. The scented candle on your desk, the fireplace in that cafe you keep going back to, the app on your phone that plays crackling fire sounds while you fall asleep. Think about how many restaurants put a fire pit on the patio, even in warm weather, just so people will linger longer and talk. Think about how every single wedding reception, every camping trip, every backyard gathering eventually pulls chairs into a circle around some kind of flame, without anyone ever suggesting it out loud. Nobody has to teach you to do that. It's already in you. None of this is just a design trend. It's modern humans trying to recreate on purpose something our ancestors once had for free. We built a world flooded with blue light from screens. Light that tells your brain it's still daytime. Light that disrupts your melatonin. And then we wonder why we can't sleep, when the answer has been sitting right in front of us the whole time. The warm, slow flickering orange light of a flame is a signal your brain has recognized since long before the word human even existed. It tells your body, it's safe now, you can rest. Next time you light a candle or switch on a fake fireplace app on your phone, notice what you're actually doing. You're repeating something humans have done for roughly 40,000 generations before you. It's not just about warmth. It's a small signal sent straight to your ancient brain, telling it that tonight there's nothing left to watch for. So sit down, watch the flame for a while, the same way someone once did, staring into the exact same fire 40,000 years before you were born.